Have you noticed this? After turning 40, you start waking up more often at night to urinate, even though you're convinced you're drinking water the right way. Have you ever wondered why just one seemingly harmless glass of water in the evening can wake you up at 2 or 3 a.m.? Or worse, why the more you try to drink less water, the worse your sleep actually becomes? If you think this is just a normal part of aging, I want you to pause for a few seconds. Because chances are the problem isn't your kidneys, isn't your bladder, and it's not simply that getting older means you have to accept it. The real issue lies in when you drink water, a small detail that can completely disrupt your night's sleep, leaving you tired, irritable, and unfocused the next day without you even realizing why. I'm Dr. Emily Carter, a urologist specializing in men's health. Over more than 2 decades of clinical practice, I've worked with thousands of men over 40 who believed they were living healthy lives, drinking enough water, eating well, yet still struggled with chronic sleep disruption, all because of one very common mistake that almost no one ever explains clearly. In this video, I'll explain the best time to drink water after age 40 based on real human physiology, not folk advice or myths passed around online. If you find this information helpful, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss important insights for long-term health. And if while watching, you find yourself nodding and thinking, "That's exactly me," leave a comment with the number 1. If you're not convinced, 0 is perfectly fine too. Now, before we talk about solutions, we need to understand one important truth. After age 40, your body processes fluids very differently, and it's this quiet, gradual change that's at the root of why so many people lose sleep without ever realizing the real cause. If you're over 40 and you regularly wake up in the middle of the night to urinate, let me be very clear about this. This is not just a minor inconvenience. It's not simply because you drank too much water, and it's not just what happens when you get older. What's really happening is that your body is sending you a signal, one that most people completely ignore. Think about it. Every time you jolt awake in the dark, your heart rate speeds up. Your mind is still foggy, and your legs aren't fully steady yet. You make your way back to bed, but the deep, restorative sleep has already been broken. The next morning, you feel tired, irritable, your memory is slower, and you tell yourself it's probably just age. But what if I told you that those nighttime awakenings are actually accelerating the aging process, quietly over time? How would that change the way you see this problem? This is the part most people never realize. The issue isn't a weak bladder or failing kidneys, it's the way your body processes fluids after age 40. And if you keep responding the wrong way, this won't stop at poor sleep. It can lead to much more serious consequences, which I'll explain in the next section. Consequences that, if you understood them sooner, would make you never take the way you drink water lightly again. What very few people are ever clearly told is that after age 40, your body no longer processes fluids the same way it did in your 20s or 30s. You may be drinking the same amount of water at the same times of day, but the internal physiological response has changed completely. This is exactly why so many people tell me, "I'm not drinking more than I used to, but I'm waking up to urinate much more often at night." When you're younger, your body produces antidiuretic hormone very effectively at night, allowing your kidneys to slow down while you sleep. Over time, that mechanism gradually weakens, and that means if you drink water at the wrong time, your kidneys continue filtering and producing urine during hours when your body should be in deep, restorative sleep. And this is where an important question needs to be asked. If the problem isn't how much water you drink, but when you drink it, does trying to drink less actually help? Or are you unintentionally pushing your body into an even deeper state of imbalance? The answer in the next section may completely change how you view your own healthy hydration habits. When nighttime urination first begins, most people's instinctive reaction is to cut back on how much water they drink. It sounds logical, less water in, less water out, but the human body doesn't work like a simple container. When you drink too little water during the day, your urine becomes more concentrated. And concentrated urine is a strong irritant to the bladder, triggering the signal that you need to go, even when the bladder isn't actually full. The result is that you still wake up at night, sometimes even more often, while your body quietly slips into a state of dehydration. Here's where the real paradox appears. The more you try to drink less, the thirstier you become in the late afternoon and evening. And when you finally drink to compensate at that later hour, your kidneys no longer have enough time to process the fluids before you go to bed. This creates a cycle that many people remain trapped in for years without ever understanding why they can't break free. But if the mistake isn't the amount of water you drink, but the strategy behind when and how you drink it, then what is the right approach? The next section will be the most important turning point of this entire video. This is the truth I wish everyone knew sooner. After age 40, when you drink water matters more than the total amount you drink in a day. Your body needs water, but it needs it at the right time. Morning and early afternoon are when your body handles fluids most efficiently. You're moving, you're upright, and your kidneys have plenty of time to filter and eliminate fluids before nightfall. As the evening goes on, that internal cleanup process becomes less efficient. And here's the question I want you to truly reflect on. If every evening you keep drinking water out of habit, just because you're afraid of getting thirsty or because you've been told you need to drink enough, are you actually setting an alarm clock for yourself in the middle of the night? The moment you understand this, many of the pieces start to fall into place. But for this strategy to really work, there's still one final factor that almost no one pays attention to. If you ignore it, all your previous efforts may be meaningless. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. Many people understand the concept correctly, yet still fail in execution. And it's not because they lack intelligence, it's because they underestimate the power of small habits repeated every single day. Your body needs a quiet wind-down period before sleep, not just mentally, but physiologically as well. When you keep adding fluids close to bedtime, you're forcing your kidneys to stay active at a time when they're meant to slow down. And it only takes one seemingly harmless glass of water for that chain reaction to begin. What's remarkable is that when this is done correctly, many of my patients notice changes within just a few days. No miracle involved. It's simply the body finally being allowed to operate on the rhythm it was designed for. And if you're asking yourself, so what should I do differently tonight? You're asking exactly the right question. In the next part of the video, I'll bring all of this together into a clear, practical guide you can actually follow, so you don't just understand the problem, you truly start sleeping through the night again. This is the moment when many of my patients fall completely silent. They realize that for years, they haven't been losing sleep because their bodies were breaking down, but because they were unknowingly doing one small thing wrong every single day. And the scariest part isn't waking up at 3 a.m., the scariest part is getting used to it, accepting it as normal, until exhaustion quietly becomes part of who you are. Ask yourself one very honest question. If simply changing when you drink water could help you sleep through the night, feel more alert, be less irritable, and better protect your brain and cardiovascular health, why wouldn't you start tonight? Not next week, not next month, but today? After age 40, good sleep doesn't just happen automatically. It's the result of understanding your body correctly and making the right choices. And you now have one of the most important keys in your hands. If this video helped you recognize something about yourself, subscribe to the channel so you can continue this journey with me, protecting men's health in a way that's scientific, practical, and realistic. And I'd really like to know, how many times did you wake up last night? Leave that number in the comments. Not to be judged, but to remind you that you're not alone. A good night's sleep is not a privilege of youth. It's the right of anyone who understands and respects their body.